Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Naaman with the DC Camp, branch of Great Millstone. Alright, back for another video. First and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kahal. Once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, alright, who deserve double honors. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, week in, week out, not to mention the numerous amount of videos that go out through various social media outlets in hopes of waking up the remaining, hopefully, elect. All right. Let me get this out of the way. This is the copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Just using this to teach. There's no intention of profit here whatsoever. All right. So let's go ahead and get to the video because this is beautiful. More and more division. These people, they're finding out about the fate, the leopards and face eating, all right, because a lot of these people, it looks to be in this town hall, at least one Jake, all right, see, they do shit like this with the intent of it hurting people like you and me. And that's the whole point behind this leopards eating your face. I mean, it's been going around. Again, it's a beautiful thing to see because now they're getting a thorough understanding of what we've been going through. And their reaction is, at this point, at the early stages, they can't take it. So let's go ahead and roll this.
House Republican leadership told their members not to do town halls. Well, North Carolina's Chuck Edwards didn't listen.
It's bad optics, right?
I happen to believe very much that President Trump supports our Constitution.
And that was just one of the more tame moments, by the way, because things quickly went off the rails. CNN's Isabel Rosales was in the room for all of it. Isabel?
It was a packed house inside, the auditorium reaching a max capacity of 300 people. But there were several hundred others here outside that were waiting for hours to get in, only to be turned away. So loud at times that you could hear them from inside of the town hall. The questions ranged from everything from Ukraine to Doge, the federal workers that had been fired. That certainly struck a nerve. Many of those jobs held by veterans. The congressman pressed time and time again about those cuts that many of his constituents were worried could impact Hurricane Helene recovery efforts. Then there was this heated exchange from a man who identified himself as a veteran shortly after the town hall began. Listen.
You're lying. I'm a veteran and you don't give a about me.
Check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car.
Man.
Okay, you ready? All right,
And right after the town hall, the congressman took questions from reporters, and just feet away, this moment of people pounding on the glass doors, shouting shame on you and other chants, extremely loud, yelling, wanting their
Should be an
voices
interesting
to be heard.
summer,
But I did also
to say
hear
the
from other
least.
constituents saying thank you to Congressman Edwards for even holding an in-person town hall to begin with. Laura.
Isabel, thank you so much. I want to bring in CNN analyst and your...
We're not even 2 months in. Today's the 5 days in the wake up for being 2 months.
Times White House correspondent Zolan Cano-Youngs, former senior advisor of the Trump presidential campaign, Brian Lanza, and former special assistant to President Biden, Michael LaRosa. Thank you all for being here. I'll begin with you, Zolan, because we know the president has paid attention in the past, particularly when it comes to veterans. Will this resonate with him?
I mean, we'll have to see. I think for the White House right now, it's not going to be an individual town hall, but more so what that represents broadly. Now, I do think what could resonate is right now, I believe it was a CNN poll that found this week that the perception of Trump's handling, that the approval rating of Trump's handling of the economy essentially mirrors his overall approval rating right now, about 44-45%. That's a difference from the first term. In the first term, when he came into office, consistently, the approval rating of his handling of the economy was higher than his overall approval rating. I say that, and I connect it to this event, because when you have economic frustration, you have to wonder if the patience will start to lower for some of the actions that we're seeing in Washington. We've mentioned often that this upending of the federal bureaucracy does not just impact people in D.C., but people jobs throughout the country. You add that to economic frustration, potentially, it's early.
Didn't consider that.
Consumer prices, as you see.
See, here's the thing. What I said off the jump about them doing things with the intent of hurting other people, not expecting, and quickly too, how it boomeranged on them. All right. Like the DEI, for instance. Something we knew all along, that people such as them profit, more from that than we ever did. Same with affirmative action. So go ahead. They're seeing that now. And the latest attempt to rouse Jake up with this plea for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned by Trump is all because what they see now is Jake has delineated, basically. Meaning we're not in, helping everybody else because it never profited us to begin with, as far as being with these other groups and protests. We're doing all the civil rights era, so-called. We shedded all the blood, sweat, and tears, and other people have profited from it. What's that called, that old Southern saying, was it fattening frogs for snakes? Just meaning that we do all the work, everybody else profits. All right. And that's Jake just tired, man. Just fucking tired. And they see it now, and it's, well, what do we do? Because it's something they didn't expect. Damn, they're just sitting back, eating popcorn and drinking tea. And the thing is, they expect us to get out there and do some dumb shit so they can write new legislation, laws, whatever have you. And this is the thing that's been going on for the longest. And it just, now I think the thing that scares him the most is that it would appear, and I'm just going to say it like this, that Jake is thinking more as a group instead of individually. And that was the whole thing with what integration unfortunately did. Because beforehand, we were making great strides and doing shit for ourselves. We got to understand, coming out of chattel slavery, we had those skills to build our own. You got to understand, from 1865 until what? The turn of the 20th century, the literacy rate grew exponentially. All right. From being, the emphasis was on keeping us from learning. All right. Reading, anything. And they had to change shit up. So, yes, when we say it's no small miracle, and this is something that scares them, how is it that people that we put so much hell on continue to make great strides. That's got to be terrifying to them, because it's more going on than they not only will understand, but what they will admit. All right, and it's something more than they can deal with that's behind all of this, and that's Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. And it's becoming more and more apparent to people that way it's something more to these people than was let on. All right, these elites, these you'll be surprised. It's not only just the elites that know who we are. More and more people are beginning to, to catch on. So these devils, they're scrambling now. Now you've upset your so-called base. And that's what we're seeing here. And saying, well, how are you treating us like niggers? Why are you treating us like this? We're what? But see, that's funny. But at the same time, you should take heed and beware that it's in times like these in the past that they've come after us. People that can't defend themselves, the cowards that they are. When you're going to, and I've said this many times, when you look up your lynching in Wikipedia, there's a section that says the very same thing. This is what, because, again, you brought all these other people over here to fuck with us, more or less. These immigrants, so-called. And still, I was going to do a video last night. I didn't put it out because it turns out it was an older one. But the lady that was spit on at the kindergarten graduation was Russian, Ukrainian, that same region, what the fuck. But, yeah, this is, and people are catching on. Where I'm at here in D.C., the gentrification, my goodness, it's so sad how they use Jake to accomplish their goals. Pumping drugs into the neighborhood and all other kinds of social experimentation, engineering, whatever have you. And you just see all these people. And I'm listening, like I said in several videos past, I'm hearing more and more Eastern European accents, like Russian, Ukrainian, while everybody else is focused on Northern Kingdom, the demonizing them. Well, hell, you let them in. And now, again, what's coming back to hurt you, using Nebraska, as I did in my last video, as an example. A lot of those farmers were using, guess what? Illegal immigrants. Not only that, your crops, all of this. And now you want to have the audacity to ask Jake, after, it's just a beautiful time. But how many scriptures in the Bible tell you that and prophesy that all this stuff that you've done is going to come back on you? It's numerous. All right, because we keep trying to tell people who you're dealing with, but you don't want to listen. Your Christian pastors, these jack-offs, at the end of the day, they're just bootlicks, and they're working for the oppressor to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind. And it has worked. Man, has it worked. I wish that you would go at your pastors in these churches with the same energy, all right, that you do with us. Perhaps you would learn that you're getting screwed and that we are trying, at the end of the day, to help you. to wake you up. That's our intent. That's Ezekiel, the 3rd chapter. All right? That's what we were commanded to do. But you know what? America, and it's just this system in general, no matter where in the world you are. All right? If you're a Jake, there's been this effort to keep you fat, dumb, and stupid. Keep you ignorant of who you really are and the game that's been played on you. All right? That's it. And why it sounds so strange is because lie upon lie upon lie has been told for so long. Of course, when someone tells you, you know, why don't you actually read? Why don't you go into words instead of listening, especially when it comes to English, being in a bastardized language that it is? You're going to have to go into other languages, the originals, which happen to be Hebrew, all right, have a working understanding with that. And then, you know, the main thing is that you pray for understanding. In fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go on to first, let's see, James 1. Here it is. It says, if any of you lack wisdom, remember, Proverbs 3 and 5, right? If any of you, 4 and 7, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of the Most High, that giveth to all men liberally, and upgradeth not, and it shall be given him. Why don't you start there? Instead of going into all these different books of which you have no understanding. All right. You see people coming up, what about the book of Enoch? What about the book of Joshua? You got to start with the basics, man. That's like going out there building a house, you know, and you don't build a foundation. It's like, what do you expect's going to happen? Or the parables about, you know, in Matthew 13th chapter. All right. I mean, well, I mentioned it. Let's go there real quick. Proverbs 4 and 7. It says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. But, and with all thy getting, you have to get the understanding. Oh, boy. Let's do something here. I've got it downloaded one of my, but let's just do this. Let's just do this. All right. Because a lot of you are stuck on this. Between wisdom, and intelligence. Because in the system that we're in now, where the bell curve and all that shit, they put a great emphasis on intelligence in this rigged system that we're living in. It goes on to say, while both intelligence and wisdom involve understanding, okay, intelligence is the ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills, while wisdom is the deeper understanding that comes from experience, reflection, and insight, allowing for sound judgment and decision making. What do you think all these books, Proverbs, Wisdom of Solomon, Ecclesiastes, Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, all these wisdom books, Wisdom of Solomon, what do you think they're all about? Is it just to acquire and apply knowledge and skills, or is it the gathering and what you gain from experience, reflection, insight, allowing for sound judgment, which is sorely lacking in this world? What do you think? Yeah.
Early, higher consumer prices as you see more tariffs, well, then will you start to see more examples of town halls like this?
Well, Republicans have been told not to do these sort of town halls. I don't know that that's the solution to kind of cover your ears to what's happening, but what do you make of an evening like that where they're obviously hearing it from people about their frustrations?
Listen, town halls are tough, and Republicans should hear it, and they should hold it. I mean, they should get in front of as many people and make their case. I mean, President Trump made his case in November of why he should get elected. He wanted to shrink government. He wanted to focus on the economy. He wanted to end the war. You know, he is doing those things. The things that he's doing are defensible. He can actually talk about what the progress they're making with respect to these things. He has to have these conversations, and the best line of defense is going to be those House members that are doing those. So I think it's a disservice that we're asking them not to do it. I think they need to get there. They need to prep, and they need to have the smart questions. But I also think the theatrics plays into our hands. You know, the veterans, you know, he has a strong voice. He should say something. But he has to be respectful in this conversation, because the vast majority of the people in town halls are respectful. And we've seen over the years it's gotten this disrespectful tone, and it actually helps President Trump. That's what I think. And, you know, I think you have to answer the tough questions. And the reality is you're right. The CNN poll earlier this week, or last week, I think it showed that people had less confidence in President Trump with respect to consumer prices. What did we see this week? We saw inflation is now going down. We saw the prices of gas and eggs go down. So, I mean, you can't measure it week after week. You have to measure it month for month. And in 1 month's time, President Trump, we've seen him now drop the prices of eggs. We've seen the gas prices go down. Those are good things.
I mean, interesting enough, to ask some of the people in these town halls to be respectful, I understand the premise, but they feel as though they are not just being disrespected, that they are being actively harmed. They're speaking out at these town halls. Democrats, I know now, are thinking about holding their own town halls in Republican areas to be able to hear this. Is that the right way to react to this and perhaps seize on it?
Because they're still... of course they're going to jump on this, because they failed so miserably the last 4 years. They did absolutely nothing, especially for us. All right, the people that got them there to begin with. And that was a huge slap in the face, you know. And it helped wake a lot of Jake up as to, hey, we gave you the White House and whatever have you, and you did nothing for us. You told us, go F yourself. To the point where a lot of Jake even voted across the aisle.
Well, I saw Governor Walz is doing something similar to that in Minnesota. I would actually agree with Brian, actually, on the response that the congressman had in terms of holding these town halls. I think it's the right thing to do. You know, Democrats can learn lessons from this. You don't retreat when you're under attack, right? You have to, as James Carville once said, or Bill Clinton once said, actually, you have to run into the fire. As Democrats, when it comes to the press, we run away from the fire. We've been doing that a lot for the last couple of years. We have to run into it. And so...
Why do they run away?
Well, there is a culture in the Democratic Party right now that has treated...
You understand, too, this could get very nasty. Because it could give the appearance, well, you all are gloating, which, let's face it, a lot of them are. And we could be seeing... lots of people getting hurt. I'll just put it that way.
The press as a hazard instead of an opportunity. And I didn't always agree with that approach, but that was the approach that the Biden White House took, and the Biden campaign took all the time. I never understood it. I came from television, so my instinct is to always engage. But too many staffers, too many strategists in our party are too fearful, too skeptical, and treat the press with suspicion, which doesn't engender the trust you need on both sides to get the job done, and it doesn't help Democrats sell their message.
It's been more than just press caution with the press, too, when it comes to Democrats. It also seems like there's an intentional strategy right now by Democrats up until this point to be really, really cautious about choosing what to swing at when it comes to the Trump administration.
Well, they're swinging at tariffs right now, and that's one area that I think they believe they're going to be successful in. But you heard Trump already saying that he is not backing down on this issue, even though he's been accused of giving everyone whiplash on this very issue.
It's the perfect example of what Carville wrote about in the New York Times. Play dead, right? Get out of his way. The events.
Well, that's different. That's
the
different
events.
Things. Playing dead and getting out of his way are different things.
Staying out of his way, meaning you don't need any. We don't need to do protests at these federal agencies. We don't. Like, the events will be the wind that we need at our backs going into the midterms. The midterms is the long game, because in order to govern, you have to win elections. In order to win elections, you have to focus on winning and not trying to win the argument all the time. And Democrats are too focused on trying to be right. No, we got to try to win the election. All right. So allow these these frontliners on the DCCC in the marginal districts. Let them off the hook. Let them vote with Republicans occasionally. Let's focus on. We're going to take back the House. There's only a 2-seat deficit. We just can't screw it up. But that is why we need to focus on.
I mean, that's a high order for some. I mean, time to think about that, given what's happened recently.
It is, but we did gain 2 seats in this last election. The margins are so close. Republicans need Democrats because Democrats are in better shape than people realize when it comes to money, infrastructure, recruitment. Now it's going to be, can we leverage the events like tariffs? Can we use that to our advantage? Because it's very unpopular.
Brian, what's the Republican response if they are going to pick and choose their battles and not have hair on fire? What are the Republicans going to do?
I think it's going to happen.
Well, listen, I think Republicans are going to watch them lose again. I mean, listen, we saw every tactic employed in 2016 to try to stop President Trump. Scandal of the week, outrage of the hour, those things.
That was then.
At the end of the day, the only way the Democratic Party wins is if it actually has a message for the American people. It can't be tariffs are bad, because we've had this whole month of the media saying tariffs are bad, Democrats and Republicans saying tariffs are bad, it's going to hurt the economy. And what did we see in 1 month's time? We see inflation go down.
But it's not just the media saying and then reverse engineering a result, right? The markets are showing spiraling. They are having people concerned about their 401k. You're talking about pensions. You hear the influx of it. I mean, the quote in the poll you were talking about, there's a new Quinnipiac poll I want to put on the screen for people to see. Just 23% of voters say the state of the economy is excellent or good. So despite the idea that Republicans could feel confident about how people feel it, the numbers are something very different.
Listen, what the number that's most important is when Donald Trump took his oath of office, inflation rate was at 3.1%. Where is it today? It's at 2.8%. So it's moving in the right direction, which is what we learned from the last election, that the most important number that matters is affordability and matters is inflation. It doesn't matter what the stock market looks like. It doesn't matter what unemployment looks like. The thing that people are feeling the most is affordability. And if you look at what's happened to gas prices, and if you look at what happened to eggs prices, which I was on this show, we were talking about it, everybody on CNN was talking about egg prices. A month into his administration, egg prices are down from when he started.
And that's the thing. They're all into playing all these games, and Jake gets caught up in that and gets caught in between. When Jake is just, first of all, you gave them all the power. And that was the thing behind this so-called integration in the civil rights era. Because as I mentioned before, we had the skills coming out of chattel slavery. We built our own towns, whatever have you, and out of jealousy and envy, they were destroyed. But the whole purpose behind that was to not allow us to cut out any kind of niche here on this side, and that's, again, prophecy. This is a place of punishment for us, all right? And for all the work that we've done, it's always torn down. And along with that, all these people come over here from other countries, these immigrants, and they jump on the bandwagon with the oppressor against us. So that's why what I said earlier is, Jake is just, they see things now, and they really see things now. And they say, you know what? We're tired. This is about doing what is good for us, And these other people, they're like, well, damn. What about us? Well, you going to help us? Well, what about you? If you're so big and bad, if you're so smart, if you're so intelligent, why don't you go back to your own country and build that up? they themselves don't understand how they're being used against us. Some do. Now, don't fool yourself. Some do. But it's that hatred at the end of the day. Again, prophecy. All these nations are against it, Psalm 83. But let's get close out with going into Sirach here. Let's see. 27. Let's start at 25. It says, whoso casteth a stone on high casteth on his own head. And that's what they've done here. All right. All this voting to end affirmative action and DEI. And again, like I said, it hurt them worse at the end. So at the end of the day, you've only hurt yourself, because people are, I should say more people are wise to the game now. They still have their, their buck dancers and bootlicks, whatever have you. And a deceitful stroke shall make wounds. What does Sirach 10 and 8 say? All right. Why this kingdom is going to be translated from another point? Well, deceit, right? Let's see, 27. He that worketh mischief, it shall fall upon him, and he shall not know whence it cometh. So there you go. All right. Might as well read 28, because this is what they've done. Mockery and reproach are from the proud, but vengeance as a lion shall lie in wait for them. They that rejoice at the fall of the righteous, which they do, shall be taken in the snare, and anguish shall consume them before they die. Malice and wrath, which is what they've all given us, even these are abominations, and the sinful man shall have them both. So it didn't look too good in the end for you Edomites. All right, so with that, hey, until the next video, shalom.